Good morning, good morning. Welcome to the show. Hey, so it is September 29th, 2024. I'm Eric Murphy. This is my cat. This is Skeptic Generation, and we need to talk. Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Oh, my goodness. I did not realize the time, and I am so surprised that we got the show actually out on time. So, yes, I am here, and I am happy that you have joined. So let me get the phone number out there. I'll talk about the topic and we'll see if we can have a conversation about it. So the topic that I wanted to talk about today is, can you choose your beliefs? It feels like we've talked about this a bunch of times, but I was having dinner with some friends on Monday who were just adamantly convinced that you can and always do choose your beliefs. And I know on the atheist side of things, we'd like to say that no, you don't choose your beliefs. You know, that's kind of a line that we have. And so I'm thinking, if somebody disagrees with that, if there's some, way of viewing things that, that follows, I want to know, that would be really interesting to me. But first, let me get the phone number up there. We have open lines. I would love to have some callers. The phone number is 412-SKEPGEN. That's 412-753-7436. Again, 412-753-7436. Or if you want to call online, you can go to tiny.cc/SKEPGEN. That's tiny.cc/SKEPGEN. And usually get a better phone, audio quality when you call online. So I definitely recommend that. But yeah, call in. I'd love to have this be an episode that we, engage in some discussions. I want people to disagree with me. I want, if there's something actually that you have been holding on to that I have said that just grinds your gears, I'm kind of in a mood for it today. I would love to have some serious disagreements with people. So if that's something you've been waiting on, if you've been like, Eric is, he's okay, but he says this thing that really annoys me. Let's make that to the day as well. Oh, good. We have one caller in the queue who is talking to our call screener shortly. And I think that will, yes. So as soon as that clears through, I'll have a caller. In the meantime, how's everybody been? Let me check on the links. It looks like twitch.tv/Skeptic Generation is up and running, which is amazing. So everybody watching on Twitch, thank you so much for joining, and everyone in the live chat on YouTube, obviously. Hello. Natchacat says, is expecting a Pascal's wager call. I wonder if they're the one calling in. That'd be good. Thank you for being patient. I did not have time to have coffee, and so I brought it with me. We'll see if that makes the show shorter or not. But I needed it for today. Okay. So I guess I can give a bit of information about this disagreement that I had, because really, honestly, it's kind of it is bugging me. The way that it was presented to me was that people choose whether or not they want to investigate something that makes them uncomfortable. And if you're choosing whether or not you're going to explore something that makes you uncomfortable or challenges your beliefs, then you're choosing your beliefs. And I don't agree with that, which is awful. I don't want to have a one-sided disagreement here. But I've got to present the other side, and that to the best of my ability, I think that's what was being said. And I personally think that if you're not choosing to put in the legwork, it's because you're already convinced of something, right? Or you already think that you know how to get that information, and so you're still a slave to your epistemology. You're beholden to the tools that you have to understand the world around you. And so how could you possibly change your view? I don't buy it. I think you're convinced based on the evidence in front of you and based on the tools that you have to decipher that evidence. And I don't know, maybe I'm preaching to the choir. Maybe everybody here, agrees, and I can't have this conversation. But man, it got in my head enough that it became the topic for this episode. And so that's why I'm here. You know what? I do have a couple of things as well. Good. There are callers coming in, waiting in the queue. That's fantastic. I do want to get some housekeeping out of the way. So On a personal note, I am fully medicated. I'm back, and I'm ready to be back. I am scheduling full work days to work on Skeptic Generation. I am now dedicating it. And with that said, I have scheduled clips of the show to start coming back. There are already clips that are going to be releasing every Monday and Tuesday through November. I am doing it a day at a time, so I'm going to fill up Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and hopefully in the next 2 weeks, we're going to get that. In addition, the podcast is coming back. So if you listened to this show as a podcast, the reason I was holding on to it is because I'm just writing the descriptions for the episodes, writing the descriptions for the calls and getting all the timestamps. It has been tough for me. That said, I'm writing them, and I have episodes that are going to be going out every Monday and Wednesday as a regular podcast. And as I do them, instead of just, so I'm scheduling that out for everybody. And if you are a patron and you want immediate access ad-free to the podcast, I am just going to be releasing those on Patreon as they come out. So hopefully in the next few weeks, you're going to be seeing a bunch of back catalog podcasts with the descriptions included. So stay tuned to that. And if you do want to get an ad-free version of the podcast or early access to it, if you want to get an ad-free version of the video, or anything like that, including, perks that are coming back, I'm just getting back into the groove of it. Go to patreon.com/skepticgeneration. That's patreon.com/skepticgeneration. Every little bit helps. Right now, the show is just barely getting by, and that's okay. It's still worth it to do, and I'm happy to be here. But yeah, that's an update on that. All right, we've got several callers, and I would love to start by talking to Roy in North Carolina/California. Roy, where are you at?
North Carolina.
Roy in North Carolina. Let me get you on the lower third really quick. In the meantime, why don't you talk to me about what's going on?
What does lower third mean?
When I first did a call-in show, we had like this running ticker at the bottom that had text going. And then in the lower third of the video, we would put the name of the person calling so people would know what caller it is. I don't do the ticker because I think it's too distracting. My ADHD, I will be distracted. But I want to get your name up there. I want people to know who's calling in. And so because and I'm also producing while I'm hosting. I'm doing all of this by myself. And so I've got to type in your name and all of that so that I can get it to pop up. That's all.
Cool.
Yeah.
I've called before.
I'm sorry?
I've called before a few times.
Oh, awesome.
It's not too weird.
That's not weird at all. One of the reasons that I feel that this show is valuable is, having people check back in, and having those ongoing conversations, I feel is what really changes minds. You can't change somebody's mind. You can't talk to them, in like meaningfully in just a quick. So we're good. What do you want to talk about?
Yesterday I did a debate with a few friends who were theists.
Ooh.
And they defended some pretty bad stuff. Like, I just put in the chat, like, I wasn't speaking because I was the only atheist. I wasn't going to tell them every single time I disagreed with something because that would just be very frustrating because I disagreed with literally everything they believe.
Okay.
And they defended corporal punishment, and they justified, like, the guy who was told to kill his son.
Abraham and his son Isaac?
Mind. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just like, but it was a test. And then I was like, but didn't you just say, like, God had foreknowledge, so he didn't need to do the test? And then they're like, oh. Like, it's so easy to poke holes through these arguments, and I don't get why people defend such bad behavior. Like, if my parent were to try to end my life, that would just be instant no contact. Like, yeah, heck to you.
Absolutely. So, a couple of things. While I would love to go into the individual topics, I think that a strategy that's going to help you is when you have just shit getting thrown at you, it's like chaff getting launched out of an airplane. There's just too much of it. So you got to pick your battles. You got to find the one maybe two max things that you want to dial in on, and then just pin them like a moth to the little cork board. Just get that right there. So did you focus on the Abraham and Isaac, or did it just kind of go all over the place?
I was just like, would you accept this behavior from anyone else? Like a constant thing I hear from call-in shows, like, hey, if your spouse were to treat you this way, that would be abusive. If your parent was this way to you, that would be bad. Why is it different for your God? Why is he correct? Like, hopefully they thought about it, because the call ended right with me saying, like, hey, hitting your kids isn't cool. And then the call ended, and I was like, oh, dang. Got so into it, I forgot that the call was about to end.
So it sounds like it was not an official, like, kind of Oxford-style debate, but more of a freeform discussion?
Yeah, I was on some random call-in app, so it wasn't professional. That's why I don't put too much emotion behind it, because I know I'm not getting paid for it.
Yeah. Can I offer a suggestion next time you're on that topic?
Sure.
Ask them what the value is in Abraham doing that. Even if you were to grant that it was a test, what did Abraham do that was admirable?
I don't think anything, but I don't know the Bible.
Well,
I'm not sure.
So what was admirable about Abraham in the Bible doing that to Christians is his unyielding, unwavering devotion to God. His devotion to God and doing whatever God said was so powerful to Abraham that he was willing to murder his son to show his devotion. But like even yeah, it is dangerous, but even at a higher level, what is admirable about blind, violent devotion?
Yeah, nothing. I understand.
And kind of at that core of that. So instead of just talking about the individual of, maybe, if you're talking about hitting your kids, that is one thing. But does that mean that blind, slavish devotion to the point of violence is okay in other circumstances if it's not your kids? What if it's
never.
Right. So at the core of it, right, the real issue there is that somebody willing to murder based on their faith is fucking terrifying and should not be admirable in any circumstance,
Agreed.
Yeah.
Do you know that one guy who's an apologist, but he's like a psychopath or a sociopath, like he doesn't see a reason to not harm people from God's like dictates?
David Wood.
Wood.
I actually debated him at a college once.
I think I just like it because it's like a science experiment. Like, I like psychology. I like figuring out why people are the way they are.
Yeah.
So I would be entertained, but kind of sad about it later.
So during the debate, if I remember correctly, I said, look, if the only thing preventing you from being a murderer is your faith in God, then I don't want you to stop believing. I'm a humanist, and in all practicality, the philosophy side of it is not as important as keeping a killer from being a killer.
Agreed.
Yeah, but he was interesting. I think that if he really, had was diagnosed as a psychopath, and that's what he says he was, but we don't know.
Yeah.
But if he really was, from what I've read, and this is just some asshole on the internet, so like take it with a grain of salt. But people like that tend to game social interactions, and they tend to learn how to manipulate circumstances to benefit their goals. And I think that he has found extraordinary social benefit in the script that he's created. And so I think that while he may say that it is a belief in God and a fear of damnation or whatever that's keeping him from it, he's also gaining things. He's also gaining a community. He's also gaining, the love and acceptance and all of that of a whole lot of people. So
I really miss having that community, even though I'm an atheist.
Yeah, we have to realize that. Not realize. We have to go out and get it for ourselves. We really do. Yeah?
But my anger towards Christianity, like another point I made in the call earlier, was, or like, I mean, the call last night with my friends, was that I don't think God does anything good for people. Like, people can say, like, they were healed or they were saved from, like, a car wreck or whatever it was. They found their keys. But then there's a kid being mistreated next door. Or there's a cancer person just waiting for, like, a transfusion. Like, these things are all avoidable, in my opinion. And then they're like, oh, but God can't prevent all evil. And I was like, didn't they create, like, both sides? Like, aren't they?
Yeah, God gave that kid cancer. Yeah.
And I don't say that, but I'm like, but why wouldn't he? Like, I don't respect anybody who could stand by while people starve.
Yeah.
I currently don't have money for necessities, so I don't try and hurt anybody else. But a lot of people don't know that people are, like, suffering right here in America, especially with the economy. But that's a different topic.
Absolutely.
I don't want to get into that again.
No. Although suffice it to say, I had to work a couple really, minimum wage jobs when I came to Portland because the company I was working for went under. Part of the reason why SKEPGEN took a while to come back is because I had to go and get work wherever I could. And the number of people who are working full-time and homeless is incredible.
Currently, my partner can't vote because they're not legally living in the home. And if they were to sign and say they live there, we'd lose lots of benefits. Like, I don't want to break rules, but
yeah,
had to break rules just to survive.
Honestly, if you need to break those rules to survive, and I've been warned that saying stuff like this is going to get me kicked off of Twitch, and I really don't care. If it gets me kicked off of Twitch, then I'm fine with it. But if your survival depends on you breaking rules, you need to do it. You survive it. And I don't think that is a just rule. I don't think it is a just law that allows its people to starve. I don't think it is a just law that allows people to suffer unnecessarily.
I don't want to take too much time, but do you think there might be a civil war or insurrection or something like that? Because I don't really think it's going to be that scary, but there probably will be something after the election. I don't know what.
I think that if Kamala Harris wins, it's going to be, it's going to have the effect of making a bunch of liberals not want to do things. They're going to be, oh, well, we won. That's fine. Let's not continue to be upset about the fact that there's, extraordinary violence overseas. Let's not be, let's not be upset by the fact that Roe v. Wade was overturned. We got a liberal in the White House. That's fine, which is absolutely crazy to me. If Donald Trump wins, I think that violence will increase. I don't know, but what I can tell you is that in context, people have fought for their well-being and for their rights always. It is literally ingrained in and part of what made this country what it is. And so I just need to remind myself that, like, it wouldn't be the end of the world if that kind of stuff happened, and I've got to recognize that I can only change the things that I can change, and that having panic attacks over it, because that is something that has happened to me, doesn't make things better. It just makes things worse for me.
Yeah.
So, I find ways that I can help, and I support people who are doing good work to help their communities. And I think that one thing that we can do is community aid. Find those people where you live, and see what you can do to help in your community. Maybe you know how to garden. Help set up community gardens.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah. No, doing that is your part, and it is a big piece. I
don't really do much. Sorry.
No, that's
you
okay.
Want to finish first?
Oh, I was just going to say...
I don't do much.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, there's a delay, and that is totally a thing. Go ahead.
I'm unemployed and I've been trying to get disability for a while. Like, I can't financially help people, but whenever my friends need food money, like my best friend is getting evicted on the 4th, and she's a single mom.
Oh my gosh.
Like, I go without a lot, and I try and help her as much as I can, but like, people don't know how much others suffer, and then I see people throwing away money or burning money. Like, I love playing card games, but I see people buying 3 booster boxes, acting like it's chump
Magic the
change.
Gathering is, you're talking about Magic,
Yeah.
aren't you? Or yeah, it's so expensive.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yes,
Like, I love
and
it, but I know how valuable money is. Like, I've had to go without food. I've had to beg
Well,
people for money to
okay,
eat, and then I see
yeah.
people just throwing it away.
So
And it takes bravery not to be a snowflake about that.
I I I want to help redirect some of that anger. All of those people put together don't have what Elon Musk makes in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So what capitalism is doing is causing us to be mad at our neighbors for the little that we think that we can spare or think the other should spare, when the fact is the systems in place are what should be, like, governments should be, what their job is supposed to do is caring for their people. And instead, we have a system that is allowing bajillionaires to buy their third yacht a third yacht.
hmm
And we're getting mad at our
And-
neighbors for buying a booster pack. That
Oh, yeah, I'm not that angry. I just...
no, but that
I'm very
anger,
expressive.
the anger should be there. It just deserves to be in the right direction.
Yeah, I don't point it at those people. Like, I used to hate seeing, like, Christian things at my favorite card shop because the owner's a pastor. And he's cool. Like, he's not a bigot. He addresses me nicer than my family does, so he's cool. But I would get angry just seeing, like, Christian symbols because of what I've been through.
Yeah.
But I've gotten over that recently.
Nice. It takes time.
But anger is still there.
And it will be. But, you know, it's just, it is just one part of, you know, this whole process, and anger is understandable. But you're not going to be angry forever. And
I kind of like it.
then be angry for now. But at some...
I use the aim... Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. At some point, though, you're going to want to, you know, do something. You know, and it doesn't... Go ahead.
I want to do what you do. I want to help people. I want to be an activist, even if it's at my home because I'm unemployed.
Then
I want to help people.
I honestly, I bet you if you reached out to a local food kitchen and asked if they need volunteers, they would snap you up.
I should try that.
You should.
Okay.
And it feels good.
I procrastinate.
No worries. I'm telling you, in the depths of my depression, the endorphin boost that I get from helping another person is huge. You know, and I think that's just a human thing. But Roy,
Agreed.
yeah, Roy, I appreciate you, and I cannot wait to see what amazing stuff you wind up doing. It sounds like you're motivated. You just need to pick a direction, whatever direction you choose. I'd love to hear about it someday.
Yeah. Thank you, Eric. Have a good day.
Absolutely. You too. All right. Thank you, Roy. Let's just roll right into the next call. Oh, this is going to upset people. I love it. Olive in Canada. What are you doing to me?
Hi. What are you doing?
Well, I was not anticipating, pissing off vegans today. But I'm ready for it.
Okay. Well, I've been stewing on this idea for a while, and I just wanted to get your 2 cents on it.
Yeah.
So I've been a vegetarian for a while, and of course, I get to see like all kinds of like veganism stuff going on the internet. And one of the biggest things I've noticed about when it comes to veganism is that it's treated like a religion. Like they tell you that it's the only way to live. It's like you're gonna they're even going so far that you're going to go to hell for eating animals.
Mm-hmm.
So, and trying to understand my own thoughts. Like they want you to. They think that it's the only way to live,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like that's very common with religion too. Like so, like it's treated like a religion. And so, what do you think about that?
Well, a couple of things. So I do feel like we're going to get the not all vegans people.
Yeah.
You know, you can't post anywhere saying that, you know, like the man or bear argument.
Well, I'm doing a preface. I have nothing against vegans.
Oh, no. I totally get it.
Talking about like the hardcore ones.
Yeah, all I'm saying is just to preface this that you know, when it comes to the man versus bear argument, people go, not all men, and there are going to be people who are going, not all vegans. Understood. If you are a vegan and you're upset by this, we're probably not talking about you. But I want to start by talking about it as a religion. I would not call veganism a religion. No, because, you know, usually there's a holy book. There are specific doctrines and rituals. There are supernatural beliefs tied in. And when you say hell, it's kind of tethered into a Christian, you know, concept of that. So I wouldn't call, you know, even the most strict adherents to veganism religious about it. That said, the sense of moral superiority, you know, is huge. And for people who are just like, oh my gosh, that's the only way to live. Like, I've definitely met people who are like that. And I got to take a step back. Like, why are they motivated to say that? I think,
I mean, I think that idea is dangerous too, because there have been cases where people do have the vegan diet and end up dying because they're not fully understanding the necessities of having a healthy vegan diet.
Yeah, they're not getting their macros.
Yeah,
absolutely. But I feel like, I don't know, I kind of want to address the core of it because, I mean, first off, there are different types of vegans, right? There are people who are vegan because they have dietary restrictions, right? Yeah. That's totally understandable.
And there's some religions like Buddhism that encourage you to be a vegan.
But not because of all those Buddhists having dietary restrictions.
Yeah.
Right. The people are vegan for other reasons. One of those reasons. Okay, so we have dietary restrictions. We also have. I want to end with ethical vegans, but there are environmentalist reasons to be vegan. Eating meat leaves a huge carbon footprint. Yeah, I'm sure we both recognize that. And for some people, they think that, you know, being vegan will help save the earth. And honestly, if everyone was vegan, sure. But regardless, I don't think that you're talking about, I'm sorry, my cat is just breaking.
It's all right. I see him on the YouTube. Yeah. It's like, oh, kitty.
So I don't think that we're talking about environmentalist veganism. We're talking about ethical veganism.
Yeah.
So if somebody thinks that cows and pigs have feelings and have thoughts and wants, needs and hopes and all of that, and I think those animals do have a lot of those things. Then they want to treat those animals like humans would be treated. They want to imbue those animals with the same kind of rights that humans have.
I mean, oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
I will admit I used to share that mentality of where, like, I would think that, like, I'm spiritually moral, simply because if I don't eat an animal that has been suffering, then therefore I won't be suffering as well. Like, I'm eating this animal that suffered, so their suffering gets transferred to me. This was before this is before now, right? That's how I used to think about, like, being a vegetarian.
Yeah, and so I want to ask a bit about that. So when you say suffering transfers to you, what do you mean?
Like, I've watched a documentary called Earthlings. I don't know if you've ever heard of that one.
Mm-mm.
Heard of that documentary?
No.
Basically, it's a documentary about how animals are being abused and used in different systems, like food, clothing, science, and pets, etc. So, like, I saw what they're doing with the cows, and they were suffering,
Sure.
and so I was in that mentality. If they're suffering, and I eat the animal that suffers, it's going to contribute to my own suffering. If that, I know it probably doesn't make sense to you, but in that time, it made sense to me.
Well, absolutely. People treat emotions like physical things that can get passed on sometimes, and yeah, no, I get that. But if I'm talking to somebody who wants all animals to have the same kind of rights that humans have, then it makes sense why they would be so, ardent in what they're saying.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't begrudge ethical vegans. I have a lot of friends, actually. A lot of my friends are ethical vegans. But I think that
there's some aspects that it just felt like it was being treated like it was a religion, right?
Yeah, and I think that in any group like that, you're going to have like a purity culture.
Yeah.
And so there's kind of this race to be the most pure, and by demonstrating, I don't eat any red meat. Well, I don't eat any meat. Yeah, well, I only use vegan leather. Oh, well, I don't use any leather because I don't want anybody to mistake my non-leather leather to be leather. Oh my gosh, well, I've never got vaccinated. Oh,
I'm sorry, I like my honey too much.
Yeah,
I like honey, okay?
Yeah, right. Or honey, right? Yeah. Well, I don't use honey because I feel like that's taking advantage of the bees' hard work. Like there's a purity culture there that they're doing to themselves and each other. I don't know. I don't feel any need to like chime in because I don't have a horse in that race. But yeah, I don't know. I don't want to call it a religion, but I do want to, recognize it and try and understand why the people there feel the way they do, because I think it's the only way we're going to have honest conversation. But I wouldn't call it a religion.
No, okay. So how would you like those extremists? How would you name it? Say as extremists, or?
Well, so I think first I'd say that they're ethical vegan. And then after that, I would say that they were, if they wanted to commit violence to further their goals, then I would say they were militant. If they were, creating very selective communities, I think some kind of extreme. Yeah. I don't know. I think we could put this out there for people who are, connected or in the orbit of that movement. What do they call them? Let's see if someone in the super chat or in the chat or in the comments for this video will help us identify it.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but I don't know.
I'll let you go now because I got pumpkin in the oven and watch.
Oh shit! Go! Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. Go have fun.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for taking my call.
Absolutely. Oh, Olive, that's interesting. Yeah, what do I think of the violent veganism? I think that those are people who really, really believe in that as a cause. But I think that if you want to commit violence in order to uphold that cause and to force people into your point of view, you have to ask yourself when you're starting to become a fascist, and how much you want to dip into that. But on the other side of it, violence is sometimes necessary, and so I don't know. It is a really, really uncomfortable place to be. And I think that there is a deeper conversation to be had. And it's only going to be had with nuance. And it's only going to be had with compassion. And it's only going to be had with us actually seeking to understand each other. Because when we vilify each other, then we just feel justified in becoming more extreme. So, I don't know. I don't think I'm the right person for the job. But I can at least try and portray it as such and hope that somebody can rise to the occasion. Anyway, that said, I had a call drop out. I have an Indian caller, which I would love to speak to, but I also have more open spaces. So let me drop this lower third, get the phone number up there before I take the next call, because I would love for this to be a full episode. 412-SKEPGEN. That's 412-753-7436, or you can call online, toll free, either way, but online, tiny.cc/SKEPGEN. That's tiny.cc/SKEPGEN. Our call screener is waiting to take your call, and I would love to talk to you. That said, let's talk to a caller in India. How do I pronounce your name? Is Nachiket?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, it's yeah.
Nice.
This is the first time I'm calling into a show ever, so I'm just a bit nervous. Sorry.
Hey, no worries. So since you are calling from India, I do got to tell you there's going to be a delay, which means we're probably going to accidentally talk over each other. As long as we're both understanding and patient with each other, and I think we'll be okay.
Oh yeah. Like right now it seems fine. Like the spaces seem okay. So yeah.
Good. All right. What did you want to talk about?
Well, I was prompted by the title of the video. I've been watching the show on and off for a while, but is belief a choice, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, and I mean honestly I thought of Pascal's wager first.
Okay.
When
Oh, hello? Nachiket? Uh-oh. You got really quiet.
Hello? Yep.
Hey, there you are. Oh, good. Okay. So you said Pascal's wager, and then I lost you.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. I think if the phone screen goes off, etc. But I was thinking about Pascal's wager, and I was also thinking about pantheism, where so those are maybe two different things, but
Yeah.
in terms of choosing to believe something, can you do that? You think? Can you choose to believe in anything?
Well, so let's try it together. If we both close our eyes, and I try really hard to believe that I have wings. Do you think if I really tried really hard, I can honestly believe that I have wings?
If I was doing that, there would be a part of me which would just know that I don't have wings.
Yeah, I mean, so I think at the core of it, we have to start with what is belief. Yeah, and believing is that which you accept to be true. I think you can hope for wings. I think that you can, I don't know, justify to yourself that you think you deserve wings or whatever, but I don't think you can believe yourself into, I don't think you can choose to believe that you have wings.
That's kind of where the Pascal's wager thing came in for me, where it was that's kind of a refutation to it, right? Where you can't, even if a God exists, let's say, which I don't think there is one, but you can't fool that guy, right? You can't be hey, I'm choosing to believe in you. I don't actually I know I don't believe in you, but I'm just I'm gonna choose it.
Yeah.
I don't think it works that way.
So you know what? Even when I was a Christian, we hated people who did that. And we had a saying. We said God is not death insurance. So quit treating God like death insurance. Yeah. So even as a Christian, that kind of stuff pissed us off.
Yeah, no, like I've had the Hindu experience, I guess, in that sense.
Oh yeah, is it
Which is
similar?
it's yeah, there is like a heaven and hell situation going on, kind of, for sure.
Oh, I mean with Pascal's wager though.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, kind of so you have reincarnation.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, are you on? Sorry.
No, that's okay. There's definitely a delay, but go ahead. Reincarnation.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, so I don't come from like a super religious family, but like generally like society has this sense of religion, and people like people go to the temple, etc., to get along, etc., kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember my grandmom like used to say to me as behave behave well, or else you'll get reincarnated as a donkey in your next like birth. So even with the religions which have like reincarnation instead of like say like a strict heaven or hell belief,
Mm-hmm.
there is this like, hey, like if you don't do what you're supposed to do, you will get like a lower birth
Right.
in your next life.
I honestly.
So that kind of like and there is like a literal heaven and hell also.
Yeah.
Like it's complicated, I guess.
No, I totally get it. I think what is interesting for me is, do you know the phrase "fake it till you make it"?
Yeah.
So when I started getting involved in atheist activism, I thought, what would the best version of me do? What would my ideal version of Eric act like? And so I would think about that, and that's what I would do. And I felt like I was pretending, because, it wasn't what I would do right away, but it was what I would do through the filter of what would this version of Eric do? And I felt like I was, acting. But after a couple of years,
Oh yeah, man. Yeah.
after a couple of years, people were saying Eric's this great guy, and I was like, no, I'm not. But
I know I'm not, like in my head kind of thing.
yeah, but everything that I have done up until that point was great. So I don't know. I think that not being an asshole, whether you get reincarnated or not, no matter what your motivations are, you're still doing a good thing, which is cool. But I don't know. I think the idea that there's a thought police, that there's a God that is going to punish you if not just if you don't do the right things, but if you don't think the right way. That's a weird, scary bit to it. But I feel like I'm taking us off topic. We're talking about choosing your beliefs.
Yeah. I was going there a bit also. But I mean, I mean, personally, I haven't if anything, I've gotten away from atheism towards pantheism since my teenage years when I read the Richard Dawkins and stuff, etc.
Okay.
Who sadly is a weird guy now.
Yeah,
But,
he was great in the field of study that he had, but socially he went way off the wall.
I mean, yeah. He did. But
go ahead.
He really did. But so what do you think of pantheism? What are your thoughts on it? Because that, I think, gets into the realm of belief and choice. Because I think there is a sense of spirituality that people feel,
Mm-hmm.
and I think a lot of atheists and I mean, this has I also remember in the last episode you're talking about Wiccans and stuff, and I know you aren't a practitioner as far as I know.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of generally how much can you hack your brain to believe in something?
Well,
Because I do have that sense of spirituality personally, but also I'm not gonna fool myself into thinking there's a God.
No. So that's interesting.
Pantheism kind of gets there. I believe in the beauty of the laws of nature and stuff.
Yeah, and I think that there are a couple of pieces to it. So, talking about last week, when I had pagans and pantheists calling in, talking about what they believe, and especially the atheist ones, they don't think they're actually gods there, right? But they are.
And I definitely don't expect you to like speak for them or something.
Sure, but I'm going to do my best to try and describe it. They look at these deity figures as kind of inspirations and go, okay, I'm going to think about, this concept, and I'm going to use this, religious figure as the representative of this concept, right? And they got benefit from it, and I think that's kind of amazing. Personally, there have been a lot of books that I'll think about and go, man, if I could be that main character, how would I act? What would I do in this situation if I was, this character from this book?
It's like the line between like knowing when it's make believe gets a bit blurry, though, right?
I mean, we do we do need to recognize that, those are not real, but they can inspire us, and inspiration is real.
But it doesn't work if it's not real. I mean, I would love to talk to someone about this, but again, it goes between like belief versus choice,
So I think that what you accept to be true about the world is just depends on the tools that you use to understand the world, right? If you believe that there's a magical world where people are miraculously healed when they pray, if you believe in a world where aliens exist or whatever, then it's obvious, that your conclusions would include those things. If you don't believe that there's a magical world, then you're not going to, include magic in your explanation of things. That said, I do want to point out, though, that there is a difference when it comes to that kind of brain hacking, and I want to point it out. And that is that something does not need to be in the real world to be inspirational.
Yeah, I was thinking about maybe it's a random example, but I remember watching this Michael Jordan video where he's just talking about how he shoots a free throw.
Mm-hmm.
And he has his ritual. Before he shoots a free throw, he does 2 dribbles, holds the ball for a second, and that's his ritual.
Yeah.
He calls it that. And
that's a really great example. Baseball players, if you watch baseball players going up to bat, a whole bunch of them do so many weird things that are,
exactly, yeah. But at the same time, they don't codify that as a religion, though, right?
No, but you don't need ritual. Is not religion. Religions have rituals.
I like rituals. Personally, I love rituals. I have rituals.
Yeah.
I just don't think that there's some supernatural connotation to them.
I agree. I don't know. But I feel like I'm not answering your question when you're talking about.
I guess I do want to know what you think about pantheism. Is it a useless term? Is it useful to describe this? Because practically I'm an atheist.
Yeah.
But I do have that sense of that spiritual wonder kind of thing. So I would like to call myself a pantheist, but people don't what's the point of that? If someone asks me if I believe in God, I'm just going to say no.
So it depends on how useful it is for you.
No, that's pantheism.
Yeah, it totally depends on how useful it is for you. You might wind up with people who try and gatekeep you out and go, "You're not a real pantheist because you don't do whatever." You're going to find that in every community. So,
have you do you know any pantheists? Because it feels like a very technical description, but it's just atheism, I think. I don't know.
No. Here, let me give you the definition for pantheism just so that we can talk about it.
Yeah.
Because I get pantheism mixed up with panentheism. So let's see. Pantheism, the doctrine that the universe conceived of as a whole is God, and conversely, that there is no God but the combined substance, forces, and laws that are manifest in the existing universe.
Like it comes from Spinoza, like
Yeah,
the
so-
like the old philosopher.
Yeah, Spinoza's got it. Okay, so I don't know because
And like Spinoza lived in a time where he couldn't be an atheist publicly.
there are some beliefs that work together with pantheism that are kind of magical that make me feel weird. Like have you heard of people talking
No.
about the collective unconscious?
Again, I don't know if they mean that as like a vibe or like literally.
There are lots of people
Like-
who mean it literally.
No, and even like once you like I just realized something about Spinoza also, let's say, because like these are people in like the 17th century and stuff. So I shouldn't like, because I guess I was like thinking of it also like, you know, like they're just like closet atheists who can't say that they're atheists in that time. But maybe there is a sincere belief in a God, which is just this like it's just the laws of logic or something. But it is a sincere belief in God anyway.
Yeah,
Like it's a belief. It's not a choice to, you know, like talk about God in a certain way.
I think I'm kind of, for me, when I was on my way out of religion, I wanted there to be a God. I wanted there to be a God so badly that I changed.
Do you still want there to be a God? Like I mean, because I think I know there isn't. I don't think I'm going to fool myself into thinking there is one.
Yeah.
But that sense of that wanting there to, you know, like that sense is there. Like that emotion exists.
Yeah.
I can't deny the emotion.
No, I mean, if you're told that you are, no matter where you are or what you do, that you are loved, that's an amazing, you know, promise. To be told that there is a universal justice and that people who do bad things are going to get punished for their behavior sounds amazing. You know, those sound great, but they don't make me more convinced that God exists. And so, yeah, I don't find it useful, but I don't know. Where I was going with it is, there was a time when I really did want there to be a God so badly that I kept changing the definition of God so that God could still exist. And one of the last definitions I created was that God is just the universe. And I realized that I'm using a more confusing word for saying the universe.
So I mean, is pantheism confusing in that sense? Is that what you're saying?
I don't think it's confusing. I just don't think it's very helpful. I think in the way that we're talking about it right now, I think it's confusing.
Where do you put that? Where do you put that sense of wonder and like, you know, like it's like, because it does exist and it's outside of just like logic, you know, like I mean.
Well, no,
I don't know, man.
Wonder is something that happens in our brains, right? And
yeah.
I think that's incredible. Do you know what else is in our brains? Love, charity, kindness, humility, compassion, joy.
Yeah.
I can't put those into a bottle. Those are in our brains. That's incredible. Wonder has a place in there too. And I experience wonder when I look up at the night sky. I experience wonder when I look at the people that I love. I experience, you know, wonder when I imagine what humanity is capable of. And I think about, you know, the progress that we've made as a society. And I hope about, you know, what we can do in the future. You know, all of those things give me wonder. And none of those things need to be magical or spiritual in any way, but they're incredible. You know, we exist because stars exploded. We have star stuff that make up core components of our bodies that color our eyeballs. That is amazing. That's wonder.
A way for the universe to understand itself.
Yeah, so like that, there's wonder right there.
Like, I mean, can I just say one more thing?
Yeah.
Like, I guess it also comes from a sense of wanting to relate to theists. You know, because I mean, I can argue, I can be like, hey, there's no God and these are the reasons, or like, you know, etc.
Mm-hmm.
But just in terms of like getting along with the community, and like I guess this goes also into a bit of like the role religion plays as, you know, in terms of like serving a social function, etc.
Yeah.
But because I do get it when people say that like they've had a revelation or like that they have felt God. Like I know what they mean, and I don't want to be condescending and just say that, hey, like what you felt is actually this thing, and I get it too. But like, you know, like like that's where kind of like, hey, I'm not an atheist, I'm a pantheist, I'm friendly, you know, like that kind of like.
Okay, I get.
I guess I don't.
Yeah, no, I get that. I think that that
I relate to what you're feeling. I'm not, you know, like that's what I want to say to people. You know?
Oh yeah, I think that when a lot of people think about atheists, they think about some fat white guy in their mom's basement who wears a fedora and leather gloves with the fingers cut off and you know and tips his fedora to the ladies, and you know is just this cringe lord. I absolutely agree that there is a bad taste in the mouth of a lot of people.
I think there is like like even I want to get away from that like kind of like
stereotype. Yeah, and
horseman kind of like vibe, like
no, I
like four horsemen, I don't know.
Oh yeah, the four horsemen of atheism: Dawkins, Dennett, Hitchens, and Harris.
Yeah, I mean that movement really turned out bad, man. But, okay,
and then the intellectual dark web that spawned from it. So here's my problem though: is we've tried. I'm actually I did a video with Genetically Modified Skeptic. He was on this show a few months ago, and I'm releasing a clip soon that actually goes over this topic. I can tell you right now when that clip is. Give me just a second so I can pull it up. But you know, somebody called in and said that atheism has a branding problem. You know.
I mean, it kind of becomes like, how do you sell a non-belief, man?
Yeah,
like you can't do that. Like I can talk to people about being logical, about being empathetic.
Yeah,
logic and empathy. You know, apart from like, unless you are being actively oppressed by religion, let's say.
I think that the way we get away from that is by being that face. If you you know, say, hey, let's use logic.
In India, there's a lot of superstition. Oh shit! I'm so sorry. I'm like.
No, that's okay. If you are active in your community, if you say that you don't believe, but you also show that you're empathetic, then you can be that face of atheism for those people. And the reason I do this show, one of those reasons, is because I want to put a different face on it. But I think that changing the word
doesn't help, honestly. I mean, I don't see the point of the label anymore.
But here's
like, just practically speaking, you know.
But here's the problem: people have tried. Did you know that there have been attempts for people to use different words? So one of the horsemen of atheism, Daniel Dennett, he wanted to say the word that they wanted to use was bright. I'm a bright.
Okay, that sounds a bit like weird.
That's terrible. That's terrible. That is so cringy. Because what? So I'm bright, so you're dim?
It sounds like a cult.
It doesn't. It also sounds like people who are just like, I'm smarter than you. You know, and obviously I'm smarter than you. So.
Yeah, no one's going to get it.
No.
Like, even that meaning, no one's going to get that meaning. Like,
no, and then
bright just sounds like a creature. Like,
and then there was another one called Atheism Plus, where they were just like, I'm not.
Okay, so I haven't looked into the term secular humanism that much, but I've heard people use it. Is that what we're looking for here?
Yes, and secular just means not religious, and so religious people do secular things every day. You know, there's not a religious way to brush your teeth. So brushing your teeth is a purely secular thing, right? Driving your car is a secular thing. You know, most of the things you do, putting on your shoes is a secular thing. Why? Because it's not explicitly a religious thing. So humanism is, focusing on human needs, and you can get into a lot of that. But like, there are religious people who are also secular humanists. And there are, and most atheists.
Okay.
Most atheists I know are also secular humanists. So I think secular humanism is not incompatible with religion. It just talks about what your values are, and I think that's honestly more important anyway.
I mean, like one point to note here also is ki like basically, so like Hinduism, there's not like one target. You know what I mean? Like with like the Abrahamic religions, there's like one God, and then you have to be like, you know, like as an atheist, you just have to be like, hey, like that God is stupid. Like stop. But
that God concept, yeah.
Yeah, there's like, I mean, like there's like multiple gods also, and like the whole like the way the religion, kind of like, and again, like I'm not an expert on this or anything, but like the way Hinduism interacts with society is that, you know, like people have their local gods, and there's like a general set of rules that everyone follows, and attacking an individual god doesn't really do anything. Like you have to attack the system of like you have to attack the system of like gods or like Hinduism that is created. Like there's like ancient texts that people like the Vedas, etc. But it's like that because you get like really religious Hindus who can say that, hey, you can be an atheist and still be a Hindu. And what do you say to that?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, because like there's some random book or like, I mean,
so
this is just like
I had a caller.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay. There's a caller last week who's called in before who was a Mormon, and they do not believe anymore, but they still go to Mormon church and they still do Mormon stuff because they still value all the other pieces, just not the, you know, specific religion part of it, the actual belief. So I think you absolutely, you know, growing up in a Hindu environment, there's a whole cultural inheritance that you have, like, that you grow up with, that you can do.
Personally, I'm okay with not participating in like certain religious aspects of Hindu society, like because like I have political problems with that also. Like you know, like again, like religion and politics intersect. But I don't know. Like I guess I was just I was just highlighting, like, you know, like because it's a bit like tackling theism in Hinduism is a bit more tricky, I guess. That's all.
It is, and I feel like it's something
like one target. You know, like there isn't one target. That's all.
You need to zoom out more in order to have a more general conversation. Yeah, no, I agree.
Which is why, like, you know, like if you're if you're positing something like secular humanism or something else, as opposed like.
Yeah, well, honestly, I'd like to speak on that for just a second, because there was someone in the chat who also was saying that, you know, while any pastors or religious leaders who are, you know, secular humanists, quote unquote, they're just humanists. And no, I disagree. And I've had this conversation with pastors who have been involved with atheist organizations. There are, and at least this is in the United States, there are lots of church leaders who believe in the separation of church and state. That church is for church and that government is for everyone. And that when it comes to helping people, that a religion should not be the place that you go for helping your neighbor. It should be all of us taking responsibility for it. It should be not just, you know, the government, but local communities and just that is a human problem, you know, human hands solving human problems, and that religion has its own place, but keeping those things separate means that the humanism and helping each other is for everyone. And so the secular humanism piece, I have met and spent time with secular humanist pastors, secular humanist religious leaders, to specifically say that, you know, the helping people should be for everyone. So I disagree. And in this case, I think that's also relevant, though, is that, you know, anyway, go ahead.
No, like this actually just went back into the whole, like, you know, like what is the role of religion in society? Because, I mean, I don't want to make this a political thing, and like I don't think it's that would be good for me either. But like in my country, I've seen like where like on paper we were established as a secular country without an official religion, and the past 10 years have really be seen the current government push towards a certain religion, Hinduism. And
I mean, yes,
like
yes, and from what I understand about India, it's so big, it's hard to make any really big claims about India as a whole, you know, because it's just you have entirely different people
oh
groups.
yeah, like I'm from a certain part of it.
Yeah, so
yeah, like I mean, like yeah,
no, I'm
but
go ahead.
like in terms of like religion and state, you know, like because like these like because like the priests over here, for example, would definitely want government to have a say,
Yeah.
like with like a religious angle for sure.
And
I mean,
I think that I have trouble. That is a really good question. What is the role of religion? Because when I was religious, I thought that the role of religion was community. And so when I left my religion, I felt
it still does that, don't you think? Like,
well,
I mean, I envy that.
it does that.
I envy that.
It does that, but that is not its like. It is a place where you can get community. It is not the only place for community, and I want to make sure that people know that difference. There's a difference there, right? You know, if
it seems to have this capacity to organize people in a way that other things don't.
It does, and that's why we need to create other groups. We need to create organizations.
And what do you call like that's the thing, like how, I mean, because it
Right.
seems like there always needs to be a positive, like, you know, like if someone wants to join the club, they need an incentive. Like, what's the incentive to join our club? You know, like.
Yeah, helping other people. I think the like here in the United States, we have we have the American Humanist Association, and the American Humanist Association, what they've done is they have gotten and filed so that you can perform weddings as a humanist without religion. You can do right, or you can also.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's very awesome.
you can also preside over end of life services, right? Or naming ceremonies
No, there's a
for
whole
new babies.
situation here where like if if there's a couple who's like, you know, like one person is Hindu and one person is Muslim, then so you can face a lot of societal backlash, and like this sounds like on the lines of that. Right?
I don't know. I think that being able to create alternatives is actually enough of a benefit. Speaking of, by the way, you just reminded me. I have a friend who's getting married, and I told them that I was going to try and get licensed with the American Humanist Association so I could marry them. And that's something I need to do.
You would be a good like I can imagine you officiating like the fuck out of it.
That would be something that would bring me a lot of joy. But starting that process is something that I still need to figure out how to do. So now I know what I'm doing after the show today. You reminded me, and I really need to get on the ball with that. Yeah. But
dude, and like I just want to say, like, you have convinced me to not call myself a pantheist.
Yeah, well, I mean, if it's useful to you, the good thing is
I mean, no one knows what it means anyway.
Yeah,
it's not useful.
Either way, in the end, there is no pope of atheism. There is no right or wrong way to not believe. There's just
yeah, like I was trying to keep a space for that sense feeling I have, but I can just like talk about it as a feeling. Because like, I mean, after after this conversation that we've had, like, yeah, like it's like I'm just thinking about the societal role of religion way more, and there's no point in confusing people in that sense, like just to get just to be technically accurate or something.
Kind of. I don't know. Try it and see how it feels. If it doesn't feel good, then you can put it down. And if it doesn't feel good after this conversation, then I hope that you can find something that does feel good. But secular humanist, I think.
If I may, how do you approach it in day-to-day life, like with like people who aren't like, like online and like into this tapped into this, like how, like what do you like? Do you say, hey, I'm an atheist?
I try to keep it relevant. If somebody's asking if I believe in their God or if I, am a Christian, I say I don't believe. Because
And otherwise, you aren't like, I mean, if there's like a religious ceremony happening around you, do you participate or do you like abstain without saying anything?
oh, I participate absolutely. So that is one thing that I've had to do is
because like that feels a bit dishonest to me. Like I don't want to pretend like I believe in that thing. Like
no.
that feel, like I, because like I
Well,
because like I come like I respect their belief. I respect their belief, so I don't want to like pretend that I share it.
Well, and if you say that, you'll go a long way. As an example, I've been invited to Christian homes, and then when it's dinner time, they go, "Oh, now is when we pray," and then they get really uncomfortable around me because they think I'm going to be offended, and so I make sure that if I'm around Christians at dinner time, I say, "Hey, I want you to, I don't want you to feel uncomfortable, doing your religious practices. I want you to, do what makes you feel comfortable and all of that. I'd be happy to wait. I'm happy to be here. You do the thing that makes you feel good. Do the thing you feel like you need to do. And then like if I'm going to a wedding or something like that, it's not about me. If somebody has a religious wedding because that's what they want, I feel like it is the most selfish thing for me to walk in being like, "It's stupid you're having a religious wedding." Like, what an asshole I would be. I go and I shut the fuck up because I'm there to support the people who are getting married.
I mean, it's kind of good. Like, I don't want to turn into like fucking Dawkins or something. I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry if I'm swearing.
That's okay. You can swear on this show. Yeah.
Cool.
But Nachiket, I do have a couple of other callers on the line, but I really appreciate you calling in.
This was a great call. Like, I like, thank you.
Thank you. Honestly, for a first-time caller, you were amazing. You did great.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you.
Like, I mean, I love the show. I've been watching for a while. Like, I mean, just keep doing what you're doing, man.
Hey, thank you, brother. Thank you for watching. Take care.
Thank you. Yeah, later.
That was a nice call. I feel like it kind of went all over the place, but it was fun, so I don't mind that. Okay, we've got a Catholic agnostic. I'm wondering about that. Talking about secularism. Andrew in Florida. How's it going?
Hello, happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. Okay, so I'm getting your information here in the lower third, and I only scanned the notes. So talk to me. What's on your mind?
Oh yeah, Christianity it seems to be more compelling for humanity than secular ideologies, and so because it's more compelling, it adds more to human flourishing, whether Christianity is true or not. It continues to follow us. Even though God is not dead, the Renaissance, it still follows us everywhere. So that's a argument for the utility of Christianity.
Do you think that arguments for the utility of Christianity are useful?
Yeah, it's useful because it adds more to our flourishing than not.
Okay. So would you want to start listing all of the bad things about Christianity and we'll see if it's worth it? Would that be helpful?
No, there are bad things about Christianity.
Like what?
If you're in an abusive relationship, right, and you feel like you can't get out, then that would be very harmful.
Hold on. Just to clarify, do you mean because a lot of churches don't believe in divorce?
Correct.
Okay, so being in a religious environment, if you're in an abusive relationship, you can be forced to stay with your abuser. Yeah, I agree that can be bad. Now, not all churches do that, but I was part of a church that did that, so I understand that. Okay. But you still think that it's still a net good?
Yeah, it's still a net good because it still wouldn't be so rampant. It wouldn't have billions of followers. It still touches our human psychology. it's still the pros outweigh the cons.
Well, so you said three things, and those three things might sound related, but they're not. And so I would love to split them apart a bit. Touching on human psychology, I agree. People people want answers. Nobody likes no answers, and I feel like cavemen, would listen to the thunder and see the lightning in the sky and go, why is that the case? And so we created stories to try and explain it to ourselves, right? We see people who die who did bad things and never were punished for their actions. So we like to think that there's a sense of universal justice. It makes us feel good, right?
Yeah, and that's secular. And so by secular humanist standards, Christianity is a net good if it adds more flourishing than not.
Well, so let me tell you this, Andrew. If I were to tell you I'm going to give you $1 million next week, would that make you feel good? Next week, next Friday, I'm going to transfer $1 million into your bank account.
Sure.
That would make you feel great, right?
Yeah.
Until next Friday when it doesn't happen. And then what? Was it still a good thing for me to lie to you?
No.
So if there's no evidence of life after death, and I keep telling people that they're going to live forever, it feels good. But to me, because I'm convinced that there is no life after death, I feel like I would be lying to them. And I feel like that would be me talking down to them or treating them like they were dumb. And I think that's like, there are a lot of atheists who think that. And I feel like that's really condescending. And so for me to be honest and to be as kind to other people as possible, I want to be open and honest with them about what I believe about the world. So I don't think it would be useful for me to lie to them like that.
Yeah. If you intentionally lie, I guess it's not the most ethical.
Okay.
But
so
like giving morphine, like to someone dying. Like,
right. But morphine makes people feel good. So why shouldn't we give everyone morphine?
well, yeah. I mean,
Because there are bad sides to it too, And I think that we need to really take a look at it. The pragmatic piece of religion. I personally think that we are capable of building communities without religion. I think we're capable of developing loving, caring relationships, to being good parents, to being good neighbors, to being good friends, to trying to use human hands to solve human problems. I think that one of the really bad things about believing in life after death is you don't take advantage of the life that you have. If you didn't get to tell, your grandma you loved her before she died, you go, I'm going to get to see her in heaven at least. So I do think that when you lie to people, when you sell people on this idea, because to me, I would be lying, right? If I told people there was life after death, like I actually had to grieve twice for the people who've died that I missed because I thought I was going to see them in heaven. So I cried and grieved for them when they died. And then I grieved again when I found out I was never going to see them again. That's heartbreaking.
yeah, but that's an unfalsifiable claim. Like you can't, like if you say next week comes, then I'll still be conscious. When people die, they'll never get to that point where, oh, it's not true. Because it's unfalsifiable. It works.
So that I would encourage you to look up The Noble Lie. And really, ultimately, there is a conversation about how beneficial it is to lie to people because you think that it would do better for them if they believed a lie. And I value being honest. I value that more than anything else. And if being honest leads to people suffering, at least they're suffering because they know what's going on. I feel like I'm taking away their autonomy. I'm taking away their ability to choose those things for themselves because I thought that it was just better for them. Like treating them like children, I think it's really unethical for me to do that.
That's one way to look at it. It's not wrong to look at it that way. That's one aspect. The belief, it can't really be proven or disproven. It offers hope, and so it's not, it might not be considered a fact, but this belief is very comforting, and many people believe it, and you can't disprove it either. So I don't see it as lying, because I don't think it's not true, but I can't prove it. I don't.
I got you. So
Yeah, and you can't solve death. Secular humanism doesn't solve death. It can't solve cancer. It can't solve, Christianity, at least, but with the belief ultimately does solve death. There's a part of your brain that says, okay, this will be solved eventually.
no, so I let's hold on. Can we change what you're saying just a little bit?
Sure.
It doesn't solve death. It solves existential angst. It doesn't solve death. It solves the fear of death for some people, right?
Yeah,
I think
that's true.
Okay, so because like secular humanism, the idea that human hands solve human problems, included in that is science and medicine, which we are using to actually cure lots of things. So I think that the boots on the ground piece of it is actually the opposite. It's, we look to secular humanism, and that kind of thing for that. But you're talking specifically about fear of death, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just trying to repeat back to make sure we're on the same page. Okay. So if someone was on their deathbed and they said, I believe that I'm going to heaven, I think it would be an asshole move for me to be like, nah, you're just going to die and that's it. You're going to be worm food soon. Like, that's kind of a shitty thing to do, right? Like, and I'm also not going to go to somebody's religious wedding and be like, because I feel like that's making it about me. And I'm not taking into account the circumstances. If someone's on their deathbed and that's what they're thinking, I'm making a value judgment there about, is it worth it to have that conversation with them? And I don't think it is. I don't think they're going to live long enough to be able to find other joy as a non-believer. So, sure. But most of us aren't in that situation. And so I feel like if I am going to help people get to a point where they can still find and experience joy and hope and not, be lied to, better to have that conversation now, right? While we're healthy.
Yeah. You're calling it lying. It has a negative connotation.
You're right. Dishonest?
Like we're trying to get something out of them. Most people aren't getting from the tithe box, like I'm Cuban, so a very secular country, but the vast majority of people would say, Cubans would say, we believe in God, heaven or hell, we're Catholic, but they live like atheists. So it's just, they keep it around because it does solve existential anxiety.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to call it lying per se, because they do think there is a heaven and hell, but they kind of live like atheists.
Well, that's because religious things happen in the context of religion, and we're not always in church. So that's fair. I think I'm viewing this through the lens of myself, and it would be dishonest of me to do that. And I also think that it would be infantilizing to them to do that to them. And the idea that religion has this net good carries with it this implication. Tell me if I'm wrong here, but it feels like it's implying that religion is the only thing that can do those things. And I don't think religion is the only place where you can find hope or that you can find comfort in existential angst. I don't think that religion is the only. I'm sorry?
No, not the only.
Okay.
Not the only thing, but the best thing. It's the best thing it's the best way to solve certain problems that there's nothing it cannot come close. So you can solve existential threat, I think, through therapy, through maybe Epicurean philosophy, like, that doesn't matter. Like, we're just part of the universe. And
well, I know I suggest. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to speak over you. So I know I suggested this to a caller last week, but if you get the chance to check it out, existentialism is a humanism. I think would be an interesting listen for you. It just kind of talks about, that existential angst without the religious component and what we owe ourselves and what we owe each other. I think that it's not the best. I think it's the easiest. And the best and the easiest are not always the same thing. I think it's easy to pre-package a group of ideas and feed it to people and say, now you don't need to think about it anymore. I agree with you, but that doesn't make it the best. I don't want people to be nice to me because they think God is going to spank them in heaven, or God is going to send them to hell, or whatever, right? I don't want people to be good because they think they're going to get cupcakes and tummy rubs in heaven. There we go. Or they're going to get spanked in hell. Like, I want people to be good to me because they see me as a person who is valuable, and they care about me because they just care about me, not because I'm a means to an end. I'm not somebody else's ticket to heaven. I'm not somebody else's project to save. I'm not, I'm not somebody's, it feels awful when I think that I've made a friend and really all they want to do is try and, put another point on the scoreboard as a soul that they saved for heaven. I'd rather just have made a friend. So I think that, religion is a huge packet of a whole bunch of things. We can't talk about all of them at once. And so we're just like talking, and trying to throw out examples, but I don't think it's the best. I think it's the easiest. I think the best is when we view each other as humans that have a small amount of time on this earth, and we are going to do our best with ourselves, with each other, to make the most of it,
Yeah. That's a positive spin on it, saying make the best with what we have left.
Yeah.
It doesn't work for most people. Like, I mean, Barack Obama, like, he still identifies as a Christian, but he's extremely secular. And like most politicians identify as Christian, but they're super secular. So why continue to hold on to it? Like, and why is it adopted across multiple cultures, around multiple centuries, if it wasn't more useful than not overall? And it adapts. It adapts with culture.
I'm sorry. No, we're speaking over each other. Andrew, I so appreciate you. I want to follow you. I just wanted to chime in about politicians do it because they get votes for it. I don't want to use politicians as an example because, even Trump, takes pictures with the Bible in the hopes that it'll get him more Christian voters. I don't think that's not as deep as we're getting. That feels like a shallow example. So let's maybe
So that 70% of Americans, even though they live a secular life, would still identify as Christian. Most of them live a secular life. They still keep it, even though they don't really need it. Like, because it just, if it has a net good that's better than not, it's more compelling.
I think,
it does adapt. It does adapt to our culture. It does adapt to our ethics. Like, most Christians do divorce and remarry in the West, despite what Jesus taught.
Well, hold on. Hold on. You said a couple of things there. Every time you say a thing, I want to have a conversation about it, Andrew. It's not fair. So first off, you're right. Religion does change to match the people, regardless of what's in the Holy Book. Because we as humans, our needs change and our circumstances change and all of that. And so I totally get that. Jesus, I don't think, was against divorce. I don't think Jesus said anything about that. I think you might be thinking about
remarriage. Remarriage.
Yeah, I think
Jesus.
Really?
Yeah. Jesus said remarriage is a sin.
Really? Oh my gosh! Did I completely forget that? You know what? I'm gonna look into that. Okay, so that aside,
he said if you divorce and remarry, that's considered adultery, not divorce in itself, but remarriage. And most Christians who get a divorce do remarry, and they just explain that passage away. Pastors remarry you anyway.
Yeah.
And it's like the biggest purple elephant in Christianity.
Well, I mean, there are a couple of them. Even when I was a Christian, when I became like a liberal Christian, and I was like, Jesus fashioned a whip and chased out the money changers. Like, why are we, I excuse my language on it, but why are we sucking off capitalism so bad when Jesus was against it? And he said to help your neighbor, and he said, if you have to give. But regardless, I feel like I'm getting past the point. You said that most Americans still call themselves Christians. And I know that's changing, and we can talk about that, but I feel like that would be talking past you. I think most Americans do that because they were raised in a Christian environment. And I think most people don't get as nerdy as you and me. Most people don't care as much. They're doing other things. They have other causes that are important to them. And so because it's not something that they've investigated a whole lot, they're just going to continue to perpetuate it. I don't think they all did it because they really did a solid cost benefit analysis. I think most of us, most Americans just don't think about it.
Yeah.
Is that fair? I mean, I'm not trying to, I'm responding as a...
It's there when they need it. No, it's there when they need it. They use it as much as they need.
Mm-hmm.
I would think they'd say, yeah, there's a God. Yeah, Jesus rose from the dead. They would affirm the doctrines, and then they just go on with their lives. Like, you're right. They're more like moderate.
Well, but something being there when you need it. It's convenient, but it's not good. It's another example of being there when you need it. That I think of right away. I got spanked as a kid. I turned out great. So when I have a kid, I don't need to think about parenting. I already know that, spare the rod, spoil the child. So I'm going to beat my kids until they're good. There are a lot of people who are like that, who just don't think about it. They didn't think about whether or not that's child abuse. They didn't think about whether or not they're going to have a relationship with those kids later. If those kids are going to be like, fuck you, fuck you, mom and dad, you beat me. It's convenient to rely on those things that you were given growing up, but it doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it good. It doesn't make it just. It just makes it convenient.
Yeah, it makes it convenient, but it has many other positives. It continues to find itself in multiple cultures in multiple centuries. It's good. So if it hasn't gone out of business and it's going to continue to survive for thousands of years, then by humanist standards, it's viable. It's a very viable philosophy. It works. It does what it needs.
Not necessarily. So humans, do you believe in a young Earth, or do you think that we evolved over millions of years?
No, the science teaches old Earth. That's most likely.
Cool.
Based on
so
evolved.
I think that I can pretty confidently say that 99.9% of all religions that have been existed are gone. And we don't even remember them anymore. So if you're talking about whether or not it's gone out of business, most of them have. And if that trend continues, these will too someday.
This long, or this power has been this powerful all over the world. We'll see.
I mean, I'm just looking at the numbers. If you're pointing at, how long religions last, they rise and fall. And that's something that just happens. We've seen it, and it's going to continue to happen. But something, again, being convenient doesn't make it true, doesn't make it useful, and doesn't make it something that I necessarily want to promote. I want to promote it for good reasons. I don't want to lie to people, and I don't want to offer people false comfort. I want to be honest with them, at least to the degree that I can be. So the pragmatic view of religion, like, I want you to espouse your religion because you think it's true, not because you think it's useful, not because it's convenient, but because you think it's the best explanation for things. I don't want somebody to tell me that there's a heaven because they don't want me to be afraid. I want them to tell me there's a heaven because they really think that there's a heaven.
Yeah, for most people, that's too abstract, because we can't know whether there's a heaven or not until we die. And we can't know whether Jesus, for sure, like, if he rose from the dead, I think it's probably more likely that he did than he didn't, but we can't know. So these things are too abstract. Most people, it's really about, does it help us more than not? practically speaking, because we're more pragmatic than not. In our nature, we're more pragmatic. So just by humanist standards, I mean.
Yeah, the pragmatic like approach is definitely more novel. Like I appreciate you coming with this. I think that there are really awful things that happen because of religion, and only religion can do it. I think that holy wars,
what?
Like holy wars.
Well, yeah, but war is a human. It can be religious or non-religious. That's always going to happen.
Yes, and I think that for the most part, I don't know. I need to sit with that. I don't pragmatically see. Yeah, I don't pragmatically see utility in telling people that, and I don't think that making people feel comfortable is more important than giving them the correct information.
I understand. I see it like romantic relationships, and government, like we still have it because it's like, even though there's a lot of bad that can go on with relationships, like people cheating on each other, it opens up opportunities for the domestic abuse.
Mm-hmm.
But relationships cause harm a lot of time, way too much, many times, but we still pursue love and romance. So the benefits outweigh the risks. That's how it is with religion.
Well, so if this is an uncomfortable example, then we can use a different one. But my first thought is, do you have a girlfriend or boyfriend or romantic partner?
Yeah, I'm married.
Oh, nice. Husband or wife or what?
A wife.
A wife? Okay. So and this is just, I know this is a fake world, but just if you were cheating on your wife, it would make her feel a lot better if we all agreed to lie to her and tell her that you weren't doing that, right? She would feel a lot less suffering from it if we all agreed to lie and say that you weren't cheating on her when you were.
Yeah.
We can talk about all the benefits of how much her life would not include all of that, because we all just agreed to lie to her, right? But we're missing something there, aren't we?
We are.
And what we're missing is, number one, she deserves to know. In this example, obviously, it was just hypothetical, but she would deserve to know. And number two, all that time that she spent with you after you were cheating, she could have been spending building her life up and finding her happiness away from you. And I think that that is a really good example of what happens with religion, is when we push that and we say, hey, this religious reasoning for death or whatever, we're keeping them in that relationship when they can spend that time instead working on themselves and finding their joy and their happiness and their peace with the world and existential angst and anxiety away from you or away from that religion.
Yeah, it's dishonest to do it that way. If you're using it to comfort people, knowing it's false, but I would say that is dishonest. Does the ends justify the means? That's a good look at it.
Yeah, and I think that insofar as we can, the ends shouldn't. But then again, on the other side of it, we talked about death, right? I told my partner, I told V, if I'm dying, if I am on my deathbed, right, I've got 2 weeks left to live, and you're cheating on me, you better lie to me for those last 2 weeks. Because I don't want to spend my last 2 weeks.
Some things it's better not to know.
Right.
Some things it's better.
Yeah, I don't want to spend my last 2 weeks dealing with that shit. Right? So I do feel kind of consistent there. To me, it's the same thing, right? If I am convinced that God doesn't exist, then if somebody asks me or I'm having that conversation with somebody, I'm going to say that's the case because that is me being honest, and I value that honesty more than most other things.
Yeah, I can see that. that's one aspect. It's not just fire insurance. Like, there's more to it than that.
See, so you're Catholic, right?
Yes, Catholic and Catholic.
Okay, so yeah, no, I felt the same way. Religion should not be death insurance. I agree. You should believe in a religion because you believe it's true, not because it's useful. Not because, yeah. So talking about its convenience, I feel like, does a disservice to everyone involved.
And the harms can be mitigated. It already is. Like, no, there's no Christian denomination today that believes in slavery.
None that are mainstream, I hope.
I guess.
Well, none that are mainstream anymore, I hope. But I think that they're only that way because we stopped promoting that kind of Christianity. Religion changes with people. And if we can't get rid of religion, I hope that we can at least change it enough so that, we stop doing, because another thing is, people are rightly bringing up in the comments that religious motivation has taken away a lot. It has stripped away a woman's right to choose whether or not she's going to give birth to her rapist's baby. Christianity, religious motivation has taken away the ability for same-sex couples to get married, and has, like, to this day, religious motivations are why, homosexuality can be punishable by death in other countries. Those are real intense things.
Those are the harms that can come about it.
Yeah.
Eventually, overall, it becomes more liberal.
Hopefully,
when humanity becomes more liberal,
maybe.
It will always adapt.
I think that's optimistic, and I've been optimistic about that for a really long time, and I'm ultimately not so optimistic anymore. Do you know how liberal the Middle East was? But there was a massive resurgence in the last 40, 50 years of fundamentalist religious ideology that has removed a lot of the rights of women and in those countries. It's wild. We can go backwards if we're not careful. And what pushes those things backwards is that fundamentalist religious ideology.
Fundamentalism can take shape in religion. It's also taking shape in communist China right now. Like, Xi Jinping is power hungry. He's not even religious, and he's going backwards. He's consolidated a lot of power. So humanity can always fall too far to the right, too far to the left, whether they use religion or not. I think religion is just neutral.
So if hold on. So if I give you, 5 examples of people beating their wives, 4 of them are religious and 1 person isn't. And I say, those 5 guys who are saying, hey, my religion is the reason why I was told by my pastor I should be beating my wife. And the 5th person, he's just doing it because he's an asshole and, doesn't have a religious reason behind it. Do you think if you bring up that 5th person, it somehow invalidates or makes less, sense of the first 4? The religious fundamentalism that we find here in the United States, across the Middle East, and in different examples all over the world throughout history, that fundamentalism has pushed progress back a lot. You can find a few examples of non-religious things that have, but that doesn't invalidate or somehow make an excuse for the religious motivations of those people who've done those things. Using Xi Jinping as an example to try and go, oh, well, no, people can push progress back. We can see the rights removed, stripped away from human beings all over the place. It doesn't need to be religion. I feel like that's not a good example. And I feel like that kind of dismisses the role that religion plays in so often taking away the rights of people.
Many rights have been taken away by religion. I do agree with that.
Okay.
But you can also see that many rights have been defended through religious reasoning.
Yeah.
But,
Absolutely.
I would say Christianity was founded in a day when there were no rights. So the Holy Text contains, not a lot of rights.
Maybe. So honestly, Andrew, if you ever want to call back about like the Old Testament and how much of it is real, how much of it is like, a story of a people, telling their history and all of that, I think that would be a really wonderful conversation that I would love to have on another call.
Sounds good.
Yeah? Nice. Yeah. Okay. Hey, Andrew, oh my God, we've been talking for a half hour. I could talk to you all day. I hope you call back.
Next time with you guys.
Sounds good, brother. Hey, did I did we completely move past your topic? I hope we were at least able to like dig into it some.
No, it was good. It was a good analysis. Yeah.
Sounds good. Hey, take care of yourself.
Likewise. Goodbye.
Will do. I don't know. That's up to you in the comments. Did I handle that well? Where do we go? And how could I possibly address all of the different things he brought up? I feel like every single one of those things deserves a full conversation. And so, yeah, that kind of goes back to the first call that we had today of needing to pick your battles. Which ones are you going to pick? Because you can't address all of them. You really can't. But I hope Andrew calls back. All right, let's get another caller. We have Kit in Oregon. Kit, you are live.
Hey, Eric. I don't know if you remember me. I called you probably about a year and a half or so ago. I was still living in Idaho at the time. So it's been a hot minute. But I'm in Oregon now, Central Oregon, actually, over in the forest right now. It's fantastic.
Nice. I love that. Good. Hey, well,
I'm nomadic, and I'm living the van life with the dog.
Kit, I got to tell you, living elsewhere and then moving to Oregon and just seeing how freaking beautiful the Pacific Northwest is.
Oh, yeah.
Why isn't, like, this is so much better than everywhere else I've lived. And, like, don't get me wrong, I've seen other places that are absolutely gorgeous. Like, I drove through Appalachia, several times, while I was touring and doing talks and debates and things like that. But the humidity absolutely killed me. I just love the natural beauty out here. I'm glad you made it here, too.
Oh, it's honestly unrivaled, and I'm going to go south for the winter because I just don't want to be cold or wet this year. Then after that, I'm going to find myself up in Portland, hopefully for a good year and a half or so.
Hey, well, if you find yourself up in the area, shoot me a message. Maybe we can grab a beer or something. But what did you want to talk about? Kit? Uh-oh. Kit going once. Kit going twice. Okay, it looks like we... Oh, shit. It looks like we lost Kit. Kit, I hope you call back next week. Oh, my gosh. I feel bad. You guys, Kit was waiting for an hour to have the conversation. And then as soon as they hopped on, it looks like the call just had some serious connection issues. Kit, I really hope you call back. I'm so sorry. Fuck, I feel bad. But that said, I think it's time for me to read some super chats. Because I do want to look into the American Humanist Association and getting whatever I need to so that I can perform a wedding, because that would be amazing, and I would love that. All right, let's do some super chats. It looks like I got one right here. Somebody said, my unfinished journey sent $6.66. Thank you. It says, hail Neil, hail Nero, hail Eric, and hail to a sense of wonder. Thank you. And my unfinished sock sent $2 and says, use all your socks to like and share. Heart SKEPGEN. Hey, thank you. I also want to say thank you to the people who are following on Twitch. I really, really appreciate it. For people who listen to this as a podcast, stay tuned. So far, I believe every Monday and Wednesday, I'm going to be catching up on the podcast and making sure that those episodes go out. So you can find it there if you want earlier access to the podcast, or you want that ad-free or an ad-free version of the video. Consider going to patreon.com/skepticgeneration. That's patreon.com/skepticgeneration. And consider supporting the show. Every little bit helps. And I'm dedicating my full work days to making sure that clips are going to be going out every day. So far, I'm scheduled every Monday and Tuesday, and I'm going to be filling up Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and we're going to get daily clips out for this show. So get excited. I'm ready for it. I'm going to see you in October. It's the end of September. Holiday season is here. We made it to fall. I hope all of you are staying safe. And I'll see you next week. I'm Eric Murphy, and I'm glad we had this talk.